Good morning and welcome to the Tuesday, March 12th meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. We do begin each of our meetings with an invocation. Is Mr. James Kriebel here today to lead us in that? Okay. Commissioner Vanderwerf, would you please lead us? Feel free to join us if you would like.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Dear God, thank you for all the gifts that you give us and for the lives that we have. Thank you for every single day, which is a gift from you. And thank you for all the bounty that this country brings to us. And we pray for good decisions here at this hearing. We pray for our citizens here in El Paso County. And we pray for our nation. In God's name, amen.
And our clerk and recorder will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Steve Schleicher.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item number 3.
Item number 3 is staff emergency items, and I'm unaware of any staff emergency items today.
Item number 4.
Item number 4 is consent to appoint deputy district attorneys. Item number 4A, appointment of Catherine Stevens, Quincy Jaeger, and William Finkelstein, Michael Allen, district attorney.
Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, and good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for allowing us to come over and introduce 3 new deputy DAs that we've recently brought into the 4th Judicial DA's office. Standing closest to me is Quincy Jaeger. She got her law degree from the University of Oklahoma and her undergraduate from the University of New Mexico. She used to volunteer as legal aid and worked at the Craighead County PD's office, so Public Defender's office. Fun fact for her is that she knows how to play the guitar, although she attests that she sings badly, and I can tell you for sure that even if she sings badly, she hasn't heard how badly I sing. And then on the far left, William Finkelstein, he got his law degree from Vanderbilt University in Tennessee and undergraduate from the University of Arkansas, right? He has worked in both I guess that's a no. He has worked in both a DA and PD's office in the past. Fun fact about William is he hasn't missed watching an Arsenal soccer game or a Razorback college football game the same day that it was played live in about 5 years. Is that right? Nope. And then Catherine Stevens is in the middle. She went to the illustrious Harvard on the Kaw, the University of Kansas School of Law, and then also did her undergraduate at the U.S. Naval Academy, which I know that we're in Air Force Academy territory here, but that's the preeminent military academy in the United States. She worked as a surface warfare officer for the United States Navy, and her first deployment was anti-piracy activity near Somalia. I know Commissioner Gonzalez got a kick out of the U.S. Naval Academy comments. She has 3 kids and loves working with the DA so far. So I would ask for approval to appoint these 3 deputy DAs to the DA's office. They've all hit the ground running, really working hard on behalf of our citizens.
Were you only trying to get 2 of the 3 approved today with your comments?
Most of those comments were specifically for you, Commissioner.
Do we have any other comments? Mr. Vanderwerf.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So once again, we've got, oh, there's a conference going on over there. Yeah.
We're just giving them a heads up of what's coming next.
Oh, okay. I always like to talk a little bit about what I see in the resumes, and once again, you know, there's some just outstanding background here, some things that I see, of course, that's already been mentioned, United States Naval Academy, but also experience in U.S. attorney's offices, at least 2 of you, maybe all 3 of you have that experience. And also private practice, I see on some of these resumes. I think that's really awesome. And I'm always interested, right, in breadth of experience, because when you can bring that then to the 4th Judicial District and use that experience, and I think that's wonderful. I also see on here, Operations Supervisor and Program Manager of the USS Iwo Jima. Wow, okay. So that's pretty awesome. Some other great work that I also see, volunteer work, working to help communities. That's really outstanding. We have a great community here with a ton of nonprofits, and volunteer work is how a lot of great things get done in this community to make our community a better place, and I just love seeing that kind of thing on here. I also see public defender work, and I also see experience in another district attorney's office here in Colorado. I think we've got one of you all, William, in Pueblo. So you also come with some experience in prosecutorial work, which is really wonderful. But I don't know if I should reserve the ultimate question for someone else, but if not, we now have to ask, who's your favorite football team, and be careful how you answer.
College or NFL?
Oh, well, that's a good start. We can start with college.
College, Arkansas Razorbacks.
Okay.
NFL, I've got a special place in my heart for the Saints.
All right.
So Navy midshipman for college, and for NFL, I became a big Chiefs fan when I was in Lawrence.
All right. You know, I think we'll be watching all the cheering going on at the Air Force Academy football games when Navy comes out here,
Yes,
right?
yeah, that'd be a good one. Yes,
Oklahoma Sooners, obviously, for college, and Broncos for pro, but I also really like Taylor Swift's boyfriend, so.
Well, I appreciate the Broncos. We just need them to be a better team, though, don't we? Yeah. But it's great that you're supporting the Broncos. So thank you very much. Those are my questions.
Any other comments or questions? Commissioner Gonzalez.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the great background, even with the Annapolis background. I don't think it's going to hurt you today. Maybe the rest of your life, but not today. No, a great, excellent background like always. You're bringing in the best and brightest, and so I appreciate that. And I'm sure we'll see great things from you in the next many years. Thank you.
Commissioner Geithner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, and always great groups that come in front. I think this might be the most talkative one, so they're a little more bubbly this morning than some of the groups, but D. Allen always does a fantastic job of running that office over there, and as Commissioner Gonzalez said, selecting the best and brightest, so we have really high hopes. I know the office is doing a fantastic job, and the entire office and the staff that is over there is just great, so I hope that you enjoy working there. My question, because I'm not a sports person, is always a little different, because it gives me a little insight into the individuals. So I like to ask, what is your favorite legal TV show or movie?
Or book.
Or book, sure.
Probably it's a classic. Every year my family watches My Cousin Vinny. So kind of a cop-out answer, but it's the one that we watch the most.
I'm a big Law and Order SVU fan.
This is kind of morbid, but I was obsessed with the West Memphis 3 growing up, so Devil's Knot and then Paradise Lost documentary, and that's why I went to Craighead County and practiced there.
Excellent. Thank you. Commissioner Williams.
There seems to be a tendency for a district attorney to recruit from the University of Kansas. Can you explain that to me?
The best,
No, I just wish you good luck, and thank you for sharing with us some of your personal stuff. I was over at the DA's office last week and ran into the last person that we were able to approve, and I remembered her really easily, so it was nice.
Well, my colleagues have said it well, that the district attorney always does hire the best and the brightest. So we're excited about your future here with the county, pending a motion and approval. I also wanted to point out, Quincy, I am so impressed with your columnist work, with your journalism, and for just a fun and engaging topic such as traveling the world and writing columns on food and wine. So as a journalism major from the University of Georgia, another SEC school, I can appreciate the fact that I'm guessing you're a very, very good writer, and you've combined it with something that you enjoy as well. So looking forward to having those skills put to work here, I'm sure, in lots of briefs. University of Georgia, sorry, but we can say go SEC for both your law school and your undergrad. So congratulations and welcome to Colorado. And then I kind of figured that, for Catherine, I figured that my colleague up here would give you enough of a hounding on your choice of undergrad. But we are very glad to have you, and hopefully you find a community that's very supportive here, and some fun football games when it comes to that Commander-in-Chief's trophy as well. So thank you for being here today. We look forward to seeing great stuff continue out of the District Attorney's Office. And with that, I am ready for a motion in a second.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to appoint the Deputy District Attorneys Catherine Stevens, Quincy Yeager, and William Finkelstein to the 4th Judicial District.
I will second that.
That has been moved and seconded. Any other comments? Okay. Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
It's a close call, but aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Go Air Force, aye.
Commissioner Geithner.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes 5-0. Welcome.
All I heard was a bunch of ayes, which is a big Navy thing. Thank you, Commissioner.
Well played. Item number 5.
Item number 5 is changes, postponements, and notice of the next meeting. I'm unaware of any changes or postponements to today's agenda, and the next meeting will be Thursday, March 14th at 9:00 a.m. for land use.
Item number 6.
Item number 6 is the consent calendar consisting of items 6A through 6J1.
Are there any members of the public wishing to speak on any item on today's consent calendar? Hearing none in the audience. Any online? Okay. Comments and/or a motion from the commissioners?
I move approval of our consent calendar.
Second?
That has been moved and seconded. Any other comments? Okay. Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. The consent calendar passes 5-0. Item number 7.
Item number 7 is comments by elected officials and commissioner liaison reports. Item number 7A, 2024 Presidential Primary Election Summary. Steve Schleicher, Clerk and Recorder.
Mr. Schleicher.
Good morning, Commissioner. Steve Schleicher, El Paso County Clerk and Recorder. And I am happy to be here this morning to share with you the success that we had last Tuesday with the 2024 presidential primary. So today what I want to talk to you about is the success of the election, going into our risk limiting audit, because the election is still ongoing. Talk a little bit about the canvas part, what the results that we have seen as of today, accepted mail ballot statistics by data and by party, also VSPC ballot statistics, because we actually had 11, as I've shared. This year we opened a VSPC up at Colorado College, so I'll share that, then go into questions. So our risk limiting audit is going to start on Tuesday, March 19th. Tomorrow is the last day that we can accept our UOCAVA overseas military member ballots. So we're still in the process of accepting ballots and having those electors also come in and cure. So we're still in the process of this election. So what is the RLA? So this is basically bipartisan judges are going to be participating this next week in a statewide risk limiting audit for the 2024 presidential primary. And since this was a presidential primary, historically the Secretary of State will assign certain races. However, since this was a Democrat and a Republican federal office, we're going to be sitting there auditing both the Democrat and the Republican ballots. So the canvass, we will be scheduling the canvass as soon as we get word back from the Colorado Secretary of State that the risk limiting audit has been completed statewide. So as you can see here, the canvass board's duty are to conduct the canvass and certify the official abstract of the voters in accordance with that state statute. Their duties is also to reconcile the number of ballots counted to the number of ballots cast to make sure they balance. Reconcile the number of ballots cast to the number of voters who voted. Observe the post-election audits in accordance with the statute and Election Rule 25.2 and 25.3, and conduct any recount in accordance with Section 1-10.5-107. So going into it, and please keep in mind, this is voter turnout as of March 5th, which was our election day. Ballots cast were 178,082. We mailed 450,820 ballots. So that is slightly less because keep in mind, we only mailed ballots to registered voters that are of the two major parties and unaffiliated. Our minor parties did not receive a ballot. So as of March 5th, we have seen a 39.5% voter turnout. Once we finish up tomorrow, I'm anticipating that to be just shy of about 41%. Here's the accepted mail ballot statistics by party and by date that we're receiving here. So as of March 5th, we received 32,256 Democrat ballots, 79,269 Republican ballots, and 66,557 unaffiliated ballots. So for a total of 178,082. So next week, once we get done with the risk limiting audit, I will be coming to you after the RLA is done, after the canvass is done, and I will also be able to share with you how many affiliated chose to vote the Republican and/or the Democrat ballot.
Mr. Schleicher, in that next presentation, would you also be willing to show us a percentage turnout within each category?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Definitely. So as you see right here, is I just basically put a line graph together for you. As you see each day, the Republicans were showing up and outnumbering the unaffiliated and also the Democrat, which is pretty surprising because our unaffiliated right now, 50.2% of our registered voters are unaffiliated voters here in El Paso County. So that was a strong turnout by the Republican Party. Here's the accepted mail ballot statistics. Now let's go into the VSPC ballot statistics. So we actually saw 477 in-person voters at our Citizen Service Center, 168 right down the hallway here that you guys welcomed each and every day, 93 at Fort Carson, 302 at our Powers, so our motor vehicle branch out there. Saw 473 at our Union Town Center, and our UT Center is probably one of the #1 VSPC centers here in the state. UCCS, we saw 81, Fountain Utilities, 142, Meridian Ranch was way up there. This was a brand new VSPC center for our 2023 coordinated election. Very popular, so 293 individuals voted there. Pikes Peak State College, we saw 90. Colorado College, we saw 169. Town of Monument, 263 voters for a total of 2,551 voters. And as you can see the breakdown there, Democrats, 270 in-person voters, 1,304 Republican, and 977 unaffiliated. So are there any questions?
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I think I asked this at the last one too, was the how many rejected error in location ballots do you think we ended up with? Or if we don't have that number yet, I'd kind of like to know how many, because again, we've talked about this, cleaning up the voter rolls. Thanks.
Yep, so Commissioner, that is a really good question. So there were a number of rejects for this election where a voter did not sign their affidavit. And so we mailed out a cure letter that way, or if a husband and wife voted and they put their ballot in one envelope, which they cannot do, we send out cure letters on that. Right now, we saw a significant amount. When I say significant, probably over 500, and we're still looking at the statistics of unaffiliated voters that voted both ballots. So what happens there is you do not get to come in and cure your ballot. You've already cast your vote. So their votes did not count. This is something that I'm actually working with staff, and I'm going to be reaching out to our PIO because we're going into another primary for June 25th. And when you look at a significant amount of voters that their vote just did not count because they cast both ballots, I want to find out where I'm missing the mark as far as getting that information out to our voters. But right now, Commissioner, we're still in the cure process that ends tomorrow. So when I come in next week, I will have really good data for you.
No, that's important, but I was kind of like wanting to be specific on the ones that are rejected because they went to the wrong address or are dead. Those kind of numbers.
So the undeliverables, Commissioner, are way down. So last election in the 2023 coordinated, we had 27,000 undeliverables. We are less than 10,000 in this election. So one thing I will share with you is, I mentioned it prior to the 2023 coordinated, is that I contracted with Experian, and we use that data. We are going to be running that query again this month. And the reason why I'm doing it this month is to allow the time for us to get the data back, go through the data, and we reach out to those voters that we cannot verify. So we'll send postcards, we're gonna be sending emails to the voters, you know, asking them, do you still live here in El Paso County, or do you still live in the state of Colorado, things like that. But that will give us enough time to contact that voter and make any change, either make them inactive or remove them from our voter rolls prior to the general election.
Commissioner Geithner.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. So a couple of things. I appreciate all of the information. One of the things that I think we often hear about is the huge unaffiliated voter population that we have, and to see these numbers and show, but we don't have quite as high of turnout. And I think that it's always important, because a lot of people don't realize that we have automatic voter registration in the state of Colorado now. And that means that people are being registered to vote, whether they necessarily intend to go out and register to vote or not. And so I think that that does skew the numbers when we're looking at those unaffiliated populations. And but I appreciate you breaking that all out for us so we can see all of that. My second thing is the mail. You and I have talked previously. I was actually glad to see some local media pick up about the conversation we had related to the mail issues. So I'd love to get an update from you, and it does continue to be a problem. I think we talked about this, and then you know, my household did not receive their ballots, and the clerk's office was great in getting those out. A neighbor had the same situation. Even the replacement ballots never made it for half of those folks. One in my household made it. One in another neighbor's household made it. So that's very concerning to me that we've now had 2 ballots floating around out there. Thank goodness for ballot tracks. So we appreciate being able to see that my vote was counted. My husband was able to go to that Meridian Ranch VSPC, and I wonder if that's part of the reason it was a very popular one, is we had quite a few people who did not receive those ballots. On election day, I got another text message from a neighbor on the street saying, I just realized I didn't get my ballots, and no one in my house got their ballots. So this continues to be a huge issue for me, and I'm curious if you have any update on a response from the Postal Service. I was very disappointed that in response to the media, they said there are no issues out in Falcon. I think that that's concerning to me in particular, because not only are we having problems, but we don't have a Postal Service that is recognizing the problems that are there.
So, Commissioner, I do have an update for you, and will share that I share your concern. I've talked to a number of citizens out there in the Falcon-Payton area in regards to the mail service or the lack thereof. I have heard from the state of Colorado USPS coordinator. So we are actually setting up a Teams meeting. So I was going to sit there and CC you on that. As commissioner, because many of these folks are your constituents, my concern is the ballots getting to the voters and discussing that. So with that being said, I feel we're finally getting some traction and address some things regards to the mail facility out there in Payton. I have continually received emails and text messages from neighbors out there that are just absolutely concerned with mailboxes being left open, somebody having a master key, and no one can identify who's got the master key. And from what I understand, what I've been told, this has been going on probably since 2018. So as clerk and recorder who's mailing the ballots, this needs to be addressed. And so I've taken it to the state level, and we have an upcoming meeting that I will CC you on.
Thank you for taking that seriously. I appreciate it and look forward to playing my role in that as much as I can.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. And maybe just one additional anecdote with regard to the post office here very recently. Having mailed a bill to pay a credit card, it took 22 days for that to get to Texas, and of course went past the due date. So it seems like there's some other challenges going on. But I had a separate question for you, and that is you do send us notices pretty frequently with regard to your work on the voter rolls, and you have two terms, voters inactivated and voters canceled. For the record, could you explain what those mean? And it looks like you've got a couple hundred, maybe 300 or 400 or 500 in each of those every time you send a notice to us, and I think this is cleaning the voter rolls up, but I'd be curious to know what those terms mean.
Commissioner, great question. So when we make a voter inactive, and basically what that is we cannot verify their address. We have not heard back from them. And per Colorado law, I do not have the authority to remove them from the voter rolls. We just make them inactive. The thing is, when we sit there and we look at removing a voter from the voter rolls, is we've had communication with that voter. They no longer reside in El Paso County or the state of Colorado. And that's where you see where it's inactive and removed, is that person has been removed from the voter rolls with verification that they no longer reside in El Paso County or the state of Colorado.
And that's what canceled means?
Absolutely.
Okay, all
Yep.
right. So canceled means removed from the voter rolls because you've confirmed they're no longer in El Paso. And inactivated means you can't verify that one way or another, but you got no correspondence. And does inactivated mean you don't send them a ballot?
That is correct.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Absolutely.
Are there any other questions or comments? Thank you very much. We look forward to seeing you again in another week.
Absolutely, commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 8. Oh, actually, we'll go to commissioner comments. Sorry. Commissioner Williams.
Yes, I just wanted to go over my calendar for this week. Last week, we had several opioid council meetings that made for a very long week. And so this week, it's a little bit less on the meeting side. Tomorrow, I have the Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments and the Pikes Peak Rural Transportation Authority. And then on Thursday morning, I have a breakfast with CDOT. And that is it. Other than that, nice, a little bit calmer week. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Just a general comment and then my specific agenda, and I'll be fairly brief with this because we were pretty extensive last week, and that's that we just continue to receive a lot of very challenging, unfortunate bills coming from the state legislature that are a whole array of unfunded mandates and other issues. And I'll just mention one, but I know that this is progressing forward through committee and likely will turn into Colorado law, and that's the concealed carry bill. This bill will force every person with a concealed carry permit to take classes every time that concealed carry permit renews at 5 years. It also increases the amount of training from 3 hours. Well, there was no training at all to renew, but previously, but it would make that an 8-hour class, and assuming that class, which includes range time, would be $150 each. And knowing that there are 640,000 concealed carry holders in Colorado, you just do the simple math, and that bill alone will cost law-abiding citizens who have a concealed carry permit $100 million every 5 years. And that is outrageous. If the kinds of legislation we need from Denver is legislation to punish those that break the law, not legislation to punish those that abide by the law. And I will also tell you, it's a statistical fact, the safest gun owners in the state of Colorado are those that have concealed carry permits. So this bill is going to punish the safest gun owners when we have violent crime and other kinds of issues, and that's what we should be focused on. So this is just one of dozens of bills that are coming through the legislature that's really going to be harmful for the citizens, and it looks like that one's going to make it through. As far as my agenda, on Wednesday, I'll also be going to PPACG, looking forward to that. And we may have a little conversation about this in a few minutes, but I'll be going to the Visit Colorado Springs lunch also on Wednesday. and then the Park Advisory Board later that day on Wednesday, and then the Sheriff's Awards Ceremony, looking forward to that, is Thursday night, and I plan on going to that. And then I also plan on enjoying the St. Patty's Day Parade this Saturday, and that's all of my agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Gonzalez.
No comments this week. Thank you.
Commissioner Geithner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple of things. Yes, those opioid council meetings last week were intense, but it's good and important work that's happening there. But I too have a little bit lighter of a meeting schedule this week with PPRTA tomorrow. Also have steering committee meetings for CCI on Thursday and Friday of this week to weigh in on legislation coming down from the state. I really appreciate Commissioner Vanderwerf's comments on some of that legislation. I'll mention one other that we don't always talk about here, but it does have a nexus to the Pikes Peak Promise that we worked on related to school choice and charter schools. And that is a bill that was introduced last week that many have characterized as essentially it would kill school choice in Colorado. And we've had a long-standing commitment to school choice in Colorado. We have a lot of charter schools here in El Paso County. And quite frankly, I've heard it characterized as malicious, that it's purposefully a charter school killer. What is the problem we're trying to solve here? There doesn't seem to be one, but it does very specifically attack how charter schools are able to operate. So I'm very concerned about that. As a mom who cares about school choice and making sure that families have great choices for their kids, we all know, any parent knows, kids are not all the same. There is no one size fits all, and so having that choice is very important. So this is one that I'm going to be personally watching very closely. I think it's important for all of us. You know, as we talked about this with the Pikes Peak Promise, it's also important for our area when it comes to attracting businesses, when it comes to making sure we have a consistent workforce as kids are learning and growing. It enables us to have well-educated citizens. So I do think that though it is not directly related to a lot of what we do here, it is very important to our area as a whole. So it's steering committee meetings and legislative items. And then on Saturday, I'm going to be participating in the Civics Bee here. I'm very excited about this. I'm really glad to see it coming to the area. This is in combination with the U.S. Chamber Foundation and the Eastern Plains Chamber. Proud to say the Eastern Plains Chamber out in Falcon is putting this on, and we've had kids compete from all over El Paso County to become finalists. So I will be there judging the final round of that Civics Bee. Look forward to seeing our young people shine.
Could they invite some of the legislators?
They might could use some civics lessons. Is that what I'm hearing? But certainly there are lots of seats available for folks to come and check that out and watch what our young people are learning. I also wanted to just read a quick excerpt from an article in Colorado Politics this morning related to a 10th Circuit decision, specifically related to a lawsuit that was brought around DEI programs. And I think this is really important. My mom used to always tell me, we don't do things just because everyone else is doing them. And this seems to be one of those topics that a lot of people jumped on board a bandwagon to just do what everyone else was doing. And there's some danger in that. And I think this lawsuit and the opinion rendered kind of clarifies that. So I'll just read directly from the article here. The federal appeals court based in Denver sent up a warning flare to employers on Monday that diversity, equity, inclusion efforts can cross the line into illegal workplace discrimination, deeming certain race-conscious programming troubling and the product of ideological messaging. And I think this is really important because there's been a little bit of a conversation around this recently, but we have so many employers that, again, jumped on board to this type of programming without necessarily thinking it all the way through, in my opinion. It goes on to say that, sorry, let me just find my spot here. suggested in the majority opinion that ongoing equity training of the type that Young experienced, known as DEI or EDI for short, could create an abusive enough environment to sustain a worker civil rights claim. I think that's pretty significant, and I think it's, I'm proud that, the county has been very thoughtful about these type of topics that we've gone forward. We didn't just jump on a bandwagon, and we recognized and sincerely thought through what it means when we enact programs like this, or when people are enacting programs like this. So I think that's significant. I think we're going to continue to see some shifts. And quite frankly, I'm glad for it, because I think many of these programs have crossed over into discrimination, and we should be focused on equality for all Americans, not dividing folks by their race.
Thank you, Commissioner. I too have a very busy schedule this week, beginning with lots of meetings tomorrow. I have Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments, and then I go straight into Colorado Springs Urban Renewal Authority, and then El Paso County Housing Authority meeting, all of those. So unfortunately, I will not be able to catch in between there the Visit COS meeting, but look forward to how this team divides and conquers on days where we all have back-to-back items. And then later on in the week, I then have also with Urban Renewal Authority a joint meeting with City Council on that. And then the awards banquet, as has been mentioned, with our El Paso County Sheriff's Office. Lots of deserving men and women, sworn personnel, who will be being rewarded, and usually it's a mixture of kind of a somber, very ceremonial deal, but also very celebratory. And I did notice that this year there is an award particularly named after Micah Flick. So look forward to hearing the stories that that surround our incredible sworn personnel, and of course all of our El Paso County Sheriff's deputies. And then I know that for several of my colleagues, Thursday and Friday are also full of CCI steering committee meetings, and so we will also be dividing and conquering that. As I've mentioned up here before, for the most part, Commissioners Gonzalez and Geithner take the brunt of handling all those calls and keeping us all in tune on specific areas, but the legislature does continue to have a record number of bills introduced. Things are coming quickly and furiously, and so to have the ability for the commissioners to be paying attention very intently as we do, and work with our colleagues from across the state with Colorado Counties, Inc. I think that ultimately benefits our citizens tremendously for us to be paying attention to what's coming down, and that charter school legislation is just one of them. Is there a are charter schools within our purview as county commissioners? Not directly, but what I will say is that we are all up here to create a thriving community that takes care of all of the needs of our residences, and certainly schools are a part of that. And here in El Paso County, charter schools and autonomous charter schools are a huge piece of that. So we try to look at all of the legislation kind of in a 360 view, but you will see some where it's clearly in our county administration lane. And so we choose to oftentimes make determinations of support or oppose on those, and others that are more ancillary to just creating a wonderful community, which again is why we're all up here to do our jobs. Continue to pay attention to what's happening in the legislature, and I'm sure you will continue to hear about that in the next few weeks. With that, any other comments? Okay, now on to item number 8.
Item number 8 is Community Service Organization Reports. 8A, Visit Colorado Springs Update. Doug Price, President, CEO, Visit Colorado Springs.
Mr. Price, welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you very, very much for having me. It's nice to see everybody. I invited a big crowd here this morning. Drew, as you can see, my board chair, Scott Marble, is here from the Colorado Springs Conservatory. It was a one-block walk for Scott, so he was in the neighborhood. And I would be remiss if I really want to recognize Crystal Latier as a board member at Visit COS and the important role that she plays. So thank you both for being here this morning. So here's the headline.
Commissioner Vanderwerf, sorry.
Don't worry about it. There's at least 100,000 watching online, so a lot of people are going to hear your speech this morning.
Thank you. Here's the headline. The results we're going to walk through from 2023 in many ways can be attributed to the support that the county provided us with the ARPA grant in 2022. As you all know from your own travel plans, you don't always make a plan to go somewhere next week. You tend to plan a little further in advance, and in 2023, we really did see people who were using our airport, and we will talk about that. But thank you for the vote of confidence that you gave us in 2023. And to get people here in 23. Let's see if I can do this. The lodging and auto rental tax, I suppose, is in many ways the holy grail in terms of collecting sales tax. You can see in 2022 that it was up 13.4% over 2021. And in 2023, it was up 2% over 2022. And that's pretty remarkable because 2022 really was a watershed year in many, many ways. I think it's ironic timing that yesterday was the 4-year anniversary of when the world and the United States got to shut down. And so we're often probably this month looking in the rearview mirror more than normal and thinking about what we went through. I will tell you, I don't have a slide for this, but overall hotel occupancy in 2023 was 65.3%. And that was down about 1.5% to 2022. But the fact that the lodging tax was up 2% says that visitors staying in hotel rooms were paying a higher average rate. So a little bit down on occupancy. And the other part of that is that the country and the world have reopened. And so people have all the choices to go travel, and what we so enjoyed for our outdoor recreation and things in 2021 and 2022, the world is catching up. The revenue per available room was pretty well flat in 22 to 23. Along the front range, the good news there that it was up about $7 is Denver came back. Denver recovered and had a good year last year. And for travel, as you can imagine, as Denver goes, so goes a lot of the state. And so it was wonderful to see conventions come back to Denver. They saw that also through the passenger counts at Denver International Airport. They were up 12% over 2022. At 77 million passengers that went through the Denver airport. So for us in Colorado, that is a wake that we want to be in and really benefit from. The group sales area for us, we attended 25 trade shows last year, which was about 2 more than we had done the year before. The number of site visits where meeting planners came to take a look and decide whether they were going to book here in the Pikes Peak region was up slightly. About 15 more of those came in 23 over 2022. The number of group leads that we had it was about flat. It was up about 100, and the way we then take those leads and we look at the cost per group lead, and the fact that we were up about 100 leads brought the cost down per lead by about $100. So The reminder that I'd like to put in here about bookings as we look at the number of rooms that we booked in 2023 is we measure both definite bookings, which is when we as a department and as a Visit COS have generated the lead, versus, and the contract has been signed by a meeting, the hotel and the meeting planner, versus what we call an assist, where we did not generate the lead, but in fact we assist in the booking itself and also the servicing of it. So the estimated room nights that were booked in 2023 it was a pretty remarkable year. We were up almost 111,000 room nights over 2022. So I obviously dug into that, and in 2022, we were still taking cancellations. And you also will remember that that was the year that Hotel Elegante closed. And so the ripple effect of that, I know it affected you all in terms of conferences that you would have attended here versus had to attend somewhere else. But we were up almost 111,000 room nights booked in travel for both definites and Bureau Assist. So 23, the other thing that we really benefited from was increased confidence in travel, that people did feel that they could go to a conference and not necessarily just have to do it from a hybrid setting. And the other remarkable booking that happened in 2023 was the International Jump Rope. It was here in the middle of the summer. It generated 22,000 room nights. And the economic impact of Jump Rope was about $9 million. So, you know, Robeson Arena, really, that was the biggest event that they have hosted outside of a DUCC hockey game. But it was tremendous for us last summer to have a jump rope. And it's the first time they'd been in the United States in a long time. And we don't know when they'll be back because they are international, but jump rope had a big impact on us in a positive way last year. The number of groups that we service, the number of people that we're in, we're up a little bit over 2022. And so overall, the group sales area was very, very good. Marketing and communications. I guess before I get into this, let me just set the stage. We converted our website in April of 2023, and any of you who've ever been through that, they kind of tell you that there could be a dip in traffic. Ours was severe, much more than we had ever experienced in the last time we had changed our website was about 5 years earlier. So we worked very closely with our vendor at their expense to get our website traffic back up. And they gave us all the reasons from Google Analytics to things that just the timing was such that Google didn't care for some of the way our new website was set up. But we have now been able today to be up double digits, and we've gotten back to 2019, but we paid a price for that in 2023. And just, you know, shooting it straight there with you, you can see at the bottom that actually, and I was incorrect in saying it was 23. The website launched really in April of 22, but it did take us all the way through the fourth quarter and into last year to even begin to catch up with organic traffic. And as you all know, your website is your front door. It's the face to the community. So we paid a price for that. Our board, we updated them every single month on where we were, and we feel that in May and June, as you can see there at the very, very bottom, websites began to go up, and we feel like we've got that back under control. These were the top referring sites to us in 2023. And our social media also did take a hit with traffic being down, but we're overall, we're feeling much more confident there. The other big thing that we owe, we owe to the county is that we had more advertising dollars in 2022. So social media traffic to our website was higher in 22 than it was in 23. And there it is, just from a social media standpoint, we put monies into a campaign that you all helped us fund to 6 different cities that the airport is servicing, and I will show you those results in just a minute. There's the delta between 23 and the 22 with the $1 million ARPA fund in there reflected. Our membership or partnership dues is another category that we measure, and that was up about $50,000 in 2023. When we have our official vacation planner, the guides that are ordered, we track that. And we also in 2023, we printed 400,000 of our vacation planners and distributed them. It's still amazing to me how few are left over at the end of the year, but that was how many we did in 2023, and we've done the same for 2024. Here are the total sessions online of people that interact and spend time looking at our vacation planner. And those are the top referring sites that go to our vacation planner. And that's the number. Again, the number of page views in 2022 were up due to the fact of the poor performance of the new website. And that was just a price that we paid in 2023. There's no denying it. And those are the number of pages per session that people go through when they're online looking at the vacation planner. And with that, I just want to show you briefly the results of the funds that you gave to us, and as a reminder of how we spent those dollars in 2023. The workforce resiliency was $85,000, and then we put $940,000 into an inbound airport campaign. And what we did was we went to, from a workforce standpoint, we got laptops for our staff, new docking stations, and we moved all of our accounting to the cloud. The inbound campaign was both digital, connected TV, and social media into 6 nonstop markets that fly into the Colorado Springs Airport. And these were the types of banner ads that we were doing last year. And here are the results, that the number of impressions were 20 million impressions with 57,000 clicks and over 2.4 million views of our video in inviting people to come to Colorado Springs and the Pikes Peak region. So with that, I will stop, and I will be happy to answer any questions that I can for you. And again, thank you for your support of tourism in the region.
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, thanks for the great work that your team does. Certainly, it was not always an easy task, navigating through COVID. Feels like, despite some of the things you mentioned here, but the great stuff and some of the challenges, it feels like we've really gotten through that successfully, and we are on our way, and we're just back kind of into the normal challenges of trying to attract tourism to Colorado Springs, which I think is great. You did mention something about the website, and I have always been sensitive to that as well. Being an industrial engineer myself, I'm involved in that my degree is a scientific process to ensure how things are, if things are efficient, right? So you can build a visually beautiful website, but then it's very inefficient to navigate and kind of turns people off and they leave. So I would be curious to know if you would be willing to mention maybe just one thing that happened to the website that you ended up needing to correct. Was it hard to navigate in the new format, or was it something else?
No, navigation from all reports was fine. Here's as untechnical an explanation as I can give. Our site was about 5 years old before it got converted, and there were many links that were 5 years old on that site that were no longer valid. They were no longer hot, if you will. And yet when the site converted, those links didn't all disappear. And so there were people that were clicking on links and going nowhere, and there was a frustration. So it wasn't a navigation, it was a cleanup that they thought had been done, but it had not. And it took our provider, our Tempest, our website vendor, the better part of a year on a monthly basis to report to us of how those links were being taken care of and off the site, and we could see each month that things are picking up. So that's one example I can cite for you.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments? Commissioner Gonzalez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So mine relates to, and I don't know if you have any information on this, so the Space Symposium facility opened up last year. Do we anticipate that being a conduit for additional out-of-state, conventions or
Are you
group space?
referring to Bardolin Hall?
The Broadmoor.
Over at
Yep.
the Broadmoor,
Exactly.
yes, at 129,000 square feet. And yes, it's already having an effect. The interesting thing about Bardolin Hall and really the agreement that the Broadmoor Hotel made with the neighbors is they only sell Bardolin Hall to groups in the off season. That's when, they need the business. They don't need a lot more business in the summer over there. So from really mid-October through Space Symposium in April is when they will sell groups in there. And it already is having an effect. We're working very closely with them because, as you can imagine, when the groups do meet in Bardolin Hall, there's an overflow effect to the hotels on Lake Avenue and downtown Colorado Springs and alike. So yes, that is welcome space. I know that just this past winter, the DECA, the Distributive Education Clubs of America, had their big conference there, and they were in Bardolin Hall. The Colorado Springs Conservatory did their wine festival last weekend, and they utilized Bardolin Hall on Friday night for their big event. And so, yes, there are groups that are absolutely taking advantage of that in the off season.
Any other questions or comments? Commissioner Geithner.
Thank you. So I really appreciate seeing the data on how the campaigns are performing, but I'm curious because you had information about impressions and clicks.
Yes.
But probably the most important metric, I think, when you're looking at the success of an ad is actually your conversion rate. So I'm just wondering if you guys have ways of tracking conversions and if that's something that you would be able to share with us.
Commissioner Geithner, it's a great question. As you can imagine, we're kind of a facilitator. The way we measure clicks and so somewhat into conversions is how many of those push through to our partners and members out there. So I can go back and find out that final and see where that goes, but I can't tell you right now what that is because we don't book them. We do not have a booking engine on our website. We've just learned over the years it's best to let our partners actually do the conversion of the booking.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, just, maybe at some point we could just kind of chat to that. I'm just really curious about what the return on investment is from that specific, and without having those numbers, just a little hard to wrap my brain around, so I appreciate that.
Sure.
Any other questions?
I look forward to seeing a few of you tomorrow at our luncheon at the Colorado Springs Marriott, where I'll get to go into a little bit more detail on 2023. But on behalf of our board and our staff, we sincerely thank you for all the support you've given us. It's such an important part of our economy, and we appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for being here.
And the 100,000 online, thank you as well.
Item number 9.
Item number 9 is public comment on items not scheduled on the agenda. This is the public's opportunity to speak on an item that is not scheduled on today's agenda. And Madam Chair, there was no one that signed in ahead of time.
Thank you. Is there anyone here today to speak on any item not on today's agenda? Okay, any online? Okay, item 10.
Item number 10 is the called up consent calendar, and there are no items called up.
Item 11.
Item 11 is department and committee reports, non-action items, and there are none.
Item number 12.
Item number 12 is the addendum, and there are no addendums today.
Item 13.
Item 13 is executive session, and there is no request for executive session.
We are adjourned.